What's up, team? Hope everyone's having a good weekend. As promised, I'm gonna make a video on how I use the 15 and the 1 to get in on entries on option trades. So I'm gonna talk about the 1 first, and then I'll go to the 15. So what I first like to do is, obviously, before the bell rings, market opens, try to draw some trend lines to give you some type of guidance. Um, I suggest you start from pre-market. Start from pre-market. Don't wait until the market opens and start drawing your trend lines from the opening bell. Just take whatever levels pre-market is giving you from the upside and the downside and just stretch it. So I have one trend line here from the bottom going on an angle to the upside. Try to have them lining up with your moving averages or EMAs, whichever ones you use. I use EMA. You could also do a downside trend line as well. You know, you got to go to the highs and respect the wicks and just go on an angle until you get at least 3 or more touches. This is 1, 2 touches. This is 1, 2 touches. And once it actually broke this top trend line, SPY pretty much just kept climbing to the top above my 9. Yeah, it respected the 9 the whole, I'll say a good 2 hours into the market. It started just, or an hour and a half, it started respecting the 9 and it rode it all the way. So you start with the trend lines first, all right? So I'll tell you guys in a minute why I have these circles. So 1 minute, right? The 1 minute is very, very volatile. We all know that. So when you're playing the 1 minute, from my experience, you can't jump in at any given candle. You have to mark your support, resistance, and then you get in on those levels. Don't try to get in on, oh, because this candle's green in the mid-level of this 1 minute, let me jump in. You make sure you mark your supports and your resistance zones, and those are the levels that you wait for, and then you pull the trigger to play. So what I have here, the reason I'm talking about this area, for your information team, is because on Friday I called out 387 around. No, I'll say like right before this. Yeah. So I'm just basically giving you an overview why I started watching SPY around here. Then I'll tell you why I jumped in on the 387 calls that actually went more than 100% because SPY went to 389, I believe, that day from Friday, yesterday. So this is what we're gonna do. Let's start off around, let's say 10:30, right? Let me just show you right here. This is a nice little morning star bounce, you could say. We got a red, green hammer, increased volume, and it was off the trend line. So if you did a trend line, you'll notice, oh, it's bouncing off. It's respecting my trend line. So this was a morning star, and then it went upside. So I'm talking about this area right now on the 1 minute. All right. So it did that, right? It pulled back, bounced around 382.90 area, went to the upside. So that's when I found that SPY actually was going to go higher because it already broke recent highs with volume on the 15th. So when you see that type of strength, it usually means it's good chance for the bull move. And if you've been playing the market all week, we've been getting inside price action for the past almost 2 to 3 weeks. It's crazy. So SPY finally showed strength to the upside, like it was pushing to the upside. So what I did, I started watching SPY once we broke around 384 and hit at least 385 because I was already in 385 swings going into Friday. So once I saw that my swings was actually coming back to life, that's when I said, yeah, there's potential move. I use that as guidance basically to the upside. So what happened here? This is when SPY got interesting. It literally rejected around almost 385 to the T, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 385 and a little more, like 385.05 rejection. Tried it. It did pull back, little buyer exhaustion there. But look, it started bouncing here on the third candle. Remember, we like to play these candles, and when it comes to reading them, is in patterns of threes. So I saw the third candle was green, and it started going again to the upside. So we just basically got to watch SPY on resistance, which was here around 385. Now, I always told you guys, always look at a candle when it comes to resistance or support. Color matters. So this one was green. We got a big green one too. So what happened? That helped as a leg to push SPY and hold it to the upside. So now that SPY is slowly crawling up, still not a lot of price action, still a lot of choppiness. So it needs to push to the upside to make a new level of support. Why? Because this, I'm sorry, to a new level of resistance. I apologize. This is resistance. It needs to, I knew it had to push to the upside to make a new level of resistance to see if this was valid support, because this already gave me a bull sign because resistance turned support here. This was resistance, and look, it's bouncing now. So I always like to enter on the second or third leg. I don't really like to enter on the one bounce because it could easily go down from the one bounce. But if you get good support, like 3 or more touches on a certain zone, then you know it's a valid bounce area. So that's what SPY actually is doing on Friday. Once it validated a new resistance for the intraday, new intraday high, it came back down to what level? Three, I'll say 385. Yeah, I'll say 385. I'll say 385 because it rejected 385 here, it bounced 385 here, and it came right back down to 385. So this is valid, this support, because now we got a second leg. So what happened when it goes bounces here, goes right back up towards resistance on the 1 minute. So I'm basically trying to tell you is the 1 minute is a good time frame to look at valid support and resistance on the market, basically. So you use the one to basically time or see your support and resistance so you could get in on the pattern on the bigger picture on the 15, which I'm going to talk about towards the end of the video. I'm just showing you the 1 minute because I look at the 1 minute before getting on the 15. Now, when it comes to the 3 candle pattern rule, like morning star, evening stars, 3 white crows, I mean sorry, 3 black crows, 3 white soldiers, etc. I don't really stress it that much on the 1 minute because I know it's so volatile. I value it more on the 15, and that's where I'm gonna get to later. So, right, remember, so I liked 385 bounce zone on the 1 minute. It bounced already 1, 2, 3, and then it never revisited again. It made another support around 385.5. It's holding, this is my 50 right here, the blue. So it's literally building support on my 50 EMA. So that's when I started paying attention to SPY on my 15, right? So I'm bullish, remember that, right? So I want you to look at my cursor here as well as I'm talking about it. It's going to line up over here on the side. So right here, I saw SPY breaching. Remember what I told you guys? I wanted the three yeah, the 387 calls right here. Remember that, right? Hold on. All right, the 387 calls. Remember that, right? So it made a new resistance, almost near 387. I didn't take the calls here yet. I didn't take them here yet. That's when I said to myself, well, if SPY made a new intraday high of 387, we could possibly go higher from that, because on Monday, I'm sorry, on Tuesday, because we had a short week, I saw SPY hit 386 pre-market, and I remember that level. So in my head, I said, if we break 386, 387 could definitely touch, 388 could definitely go. I just don't know how soon. So once I saw here that we was gonna test 387, I told myself, all right, let me be ready for a bounce. I want to get in either 385 or 385.5 for the 387 calls. So what happened here? Kind of a double top here, rejected nicely near 387. So I waited patiently. Now I'm looking at my 15. I'm not even looking at the one, guys. I'm looking at them on 15. So I waited patiently. I'm looking at my 15. I see a red candle. I'm bullish. So I'm not gonna get in. I only get in on a green candle on the 15. I do not get in on red candles. Some people do, but I follow my disciplinary rules, and this is how I trade. So it's red. So we got one red candle here after it breached nice highs. So I'm waiting. I wait for the next candle, another red candle. I'm still not getting in. Okay. I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at my RSI. I'm looking at my MACD. Okay. I'm bullish throughout the day because we above VWAP. When you above VWAP, it's good to be bullish. When you're under VWAP, it's good to be bearish. So I'm looking at my RSI, my MACD. I'm like, okay, if we drop, we're gonna slice through some EMA, maybe the 9, maybe the 21, or maybe we could just bounce at VWAP. It could bounce at VWAP because 383 or 384 is a good bounce. So I'm hawking SPY right now. So my third candle came in. What happened? All these candles consolidated within this big green candle. So that just tells me the bulls are still in, the bears are weak as fuck. So this is when I put on my hat for the bull side. I literally was talking to everyone on Zoom right here when I seen this doji green candle, and look at where it's lining up on my 1 minute. That's 385, almost 0.5 is 385.40, right? Actually goes lower. We dropped all the way to 385, like 20. This is when I would put my hat on. I told the chat, possible morning star bell right here, bouncing on the 9, right? It played out perfect. Morning star. I got the 1 minute hand here, but I want you guys to look at the 15 because that's the pattern that I'm talking about. So what happened here? Morning star bell. The 1 is climbing, climbing. Once you're in right here, put it like this. Once you're in and you're confident in the pattern that you're about to see, everything's lining up. You have really no bearish signal. You get in and don't even remember you're on the 15. So don't even look at the 1 minute for a good 10 minutes or so, because you're trading off the 15. So if you got in here and you got all nervous and clipped it on this pullback, you got into play for nothing. So you get in here and you believe the pattern that you see, you ride that bitch all the way up, all the way up. So what happened? The Morningstar bill, like I told everyone, and look at where the cursors is going now. This is incredible, incredible. Look, 15 Morningstar build. What happened? Green. I'm not even looking at the one when I'm looking at the 15 the whole time. Green. Oh, 387 is about to go in the money. We still green. Now a lot of people are gonna ask me, yo, why you didn't get out right there? It was resistance on the 15. Why? Because it's still a green candle on resistance. When you get that type of movement on resistance, you could hold. So I held. I held off the 15. I held my 387s. We got a little wicky, we got a little choppy. I'm still in my 387s. Why? Because we got a green candle on resistance. Also, my RSI snitches before the MACD. RSI is still going to the upside. Look, it didn't drop or nothing. And look, it's this tint right here. didn't change on my MACD. It actually got dark right here. Right here at 10, 14. Yeah, 14. What's that military time? Probably like around almost 2 o'clock, I'll say. So right here, 10 changed dark and it kept pushing up, pushing up, pushing up. 387's in the money now. In the money. Look at the 1 minute too while I'm moving this cursor. Look how it's climbing. So green candles. I got out around here. I got out around this candle because I didn't want to be greedy. RSI was high. I didn't want to risk it. But if I want to leave a run, I could have until I seen a red candle. This would have been my exit. This red candle around 389. So let's see what 389 looks on the 1 minute, right? So I see it right here on my screen. So 389 happened around here, right? All right, that's a perfect exit. Why? Because you got almost a double top reaction on the 1 minute. So could get out here, or you could say, oh, let me try to get the retest on the 1 minute and get out right away. That's a classic double top. But ever since the entry we got in here, it was climbing, climbing, climbing. It didn't even do no bearish patterns. This right here was a little heavy on volume profile line. This is my volume profile line right here. Got a little heavy here, but it's all right. What happened? Support, I'm sorry, support, resistance, support, resistance, resistance, support, turn support. It ripped from there. We rode it, rode it. I rode mine spot calls for Monday, so I'm deep in the money. So I grabbed the ODTEs and I grabbed Monday 387s. So I'm looking great for spot. I think we're gonna open up greener. The daily looks great. So basically, long story short, guys, 1 minute I like to pick out my support, obvious support and resistance. And the 15 is how I'm playing the play on the upside or the downside. That's basically telling me if I'm gonna play puts or calls, the 15 on whatever pattern I see. If it was vice versa, evening star, I would be bearish, but basically that's the gist of me using the 1 and the 15 at the same time. Hope you guys learned something.